Continuing my discussion about the Scandinavian defense, this game was played on ICC in May 2002. My opponent was a computer chess engine, or account rather, named Niter, and it was rated around 2300 at the time, so it was pretty strong. I was white in this game, and the opening was of course Scandinavian defense, with a very unusual move on the 6th move. So let's take a look at that. E4, D5, E takes D5, Queen takes D5, Knight C3, Queen A5, D4, Knight F6, Knight F3, Bishop F5, Bishop C4, and here on move 6, Black played Knight to E4. Not a book move, not part of any theory as far as I know, and it turned out to be, to say the least, very unsuccessful for Black. I played Bishop D2, just unpinning the knight. Knight takes D2, Queen takes D2, Queen B4, Bishop D3. I don't mind giving up the pawn here on B2, as we will see why. Bishop G4, A3. Basically just encouraging Black to take the pawn on B2. Queen takes B2, Rook B1, Queen takes A3, Rook to B7, Bishop takes F3, G takes F3. And if we look at the last couple of moves, first of all, when I played the move A3, I wanted him to take the pawn on B2 so that I could activate my rook very quickly, like I did here. So although I won back a pawn, but the pawn was not that important. What's important in this game is the activity of my rook, and I also didn't mind getting double pawns over here, because I can still castle away. For example, as we will see here, go to Queen A1 check, I'll simply play Rook B1, Queen A5, and now just castle away, Queen H5, Rook B5, and here's well, I'm not sure if it really matters that much, because if the Queen takes F3, I still could have played Bishop E4. For example, if a check anywhere, like for example on this, okay, of course you can't play that move. So there are no other moves. I mean, he can go here, he can check anything anywhere, so he must just as well take the pawn, like the computer did. So I'll play Bishop E4, and now Queen G4 check, and after King H1, the only move to save the rook on A8 is to play C6, and here Rook B7. E6, Rook F to B1, Bishop D6, and here's an interesting move, D5. The idea with D5 is to open up in front of the king, so to speak. The computer reply Queen H3, threatening checkmate here on H2. I played F4 to stop that. C takes D5, and here's an interesting sacrifice, Knight takes D5. Whenever you sacrifice a pawn, I mean a piece against a computer, the computer doesn't really know what to do, because it comes maybe a very strong computer chess engine would have found this sacrifice, I'm not sure, but this was played by me in a 5-minute blitz game against, like I said, a computer engine rated almost 2300, and so it was fairly strong. And of course he replied like most engines would do, at least in that class, so to speak. You simply took back with E takes E5, and now instead of taking the pawn on D5 immediately, I'll play Bishop G2, threatening the queen. And after the queen moves, Queen A5, F5, I'll simply play Bishop takes D5 with a number of threats. First of all, I'm threatening to take over here on F7 with check, and wherever my rook moves, for example to B5, my bishop has this diagonal, of course threatening to take the rook on A8. So Queen takes F4. Instead of that, there's also the possibility to play castles, Rook B5, Bishop takes F4, Queen G2, and well, there's no way to save everything. So Knight C6, Bishop C6, and for example, well, now we have as you can see, a double threat. I'm threatening to take the rook, and I'm also threatening the queen on f5. So for example, if queen c8, another move could have been, for example, queen to g6, and if takes over here, then just takes, because white is going to win a rook anyway, or the exchange rather, because obviously the black will keep the bishop for a rook, so to speak. So after all the trades, for example, this is a sample variation. Queen c8, bishop takes a8, queen takes a8, queen takes a8, rook takes a8, and black has a bishop and a rook and 4 pawns against 2 rooks and 2 pawns. So I suppose this is a pretty equal game. It's not very easy to win a game like this. I mean, okay, a rook is also always a rook, but black does have the pawn over here, and it can't stop pushing that, and of course support it with the bishop on, which is now standing on f4. And also, black has a pawn majority on the king side, so I suppose this, if played correctly, would be draw. But instead of that, the computer played queen takes f4, and here I just threw out bishop takes f7 check, king f8, queen g2, queen f6, rook f1, bishop f4, bishop d5, g6, rook f7 check, takes, rook f4 check, king e6, and now the diagonal has finally opened up on his rook, so I just took the rook, queen takes a8, and now the pawn on a7 of course falls, as well as the rook on h8 if the bishop knight ever moves, so the knight is pinned. King d6, rook f6 check, king e7, queen f3, a5, rook f7 check, king e8, queen f6, threatening checkmate on e7, knight is c6, the only move, rook c7, rook f8, queen takes c6 check, king d8, and now the final move, queen d7 checkmate. So let's take a quick look at the opening again. The first couple of moves were just book moves, and here on move 6, black played knight to e4. The correct move, or part of theory at least, would have been to play c6, as well. I've also talked about in previous videos, with the idea to open up for the queen, and also to stop at some point to move d5, which is actually a pretty dangerous move for black to meet. But instead of that, like I said, the computer played knight e4, and I followed that up by playing bishop d2, takes, queen b4, bishop d3, bishop g4, and like I said, I didn't mind giving up the pawn here for the activity of my rook, and it turned out to be a pretty successful idea. So I hope you enjoyed this, and maybe you picked up an idea somewhere, I don't know, hopefully you did. See you soon.